The epic fantasy series The Wheel of Time centers on Moiraine and a group of 5 young people, one of whom will ultimately decide the fate of the entire world. The first episode of the series introduces us to the ancient prophecy and the horrifying creatures attempting to sway events in their favor. 5 months have passed since the Season 1 finale when the season premiered. Egwene and Nynaeve are undergoing novice training at the White Tower, Moiraine and Lan are on frigid terms, and Perrin is on a mission to find the Horn of Valyr. Rand, who fled following his battle with the Dark One, is still unable to be found, and Mat appears to be in a pickle. The second season begins with a startlingly harrowing yet touching scene. The Dark One hopes to finally track down Rand Aka, the dragon, and persuade him to align with him during a gathering of some of his dark friends. But not all is evil with the Dark One. He likes to imagine that people don't understand him. The charming antagonist says that the monsters are also misunderstood when a young child, the daughter of one of his allies, interrupts the conference to say that she saw Trollocs and they scared her. They may be frightening, but they're really just big, loving pets. As Sedai Moiraine, who is currently helpless and still on the outs, is staying in an inn run by 2 sisters named Perrin and Adelias in the mountains with her warder Lan. Despite her problems, she continues to act in a frustratingly hidden manner. She continues to have enigmatic visitors, but never shares her plans with her devoted warder. Egwene and Wisdom Nynaeve begin Season 2 at the White Tower, as novices preparing to become Aes Sedai, having more fun than Moiraine. The 3 of them are romantically linked, in case last season's episode left any doubt about the nature of the connection between Olenna and her 2 warders. Since they assisted in destroying an army of Trollocs at Faldera, the girls have been novices for 5 months. Nevertheless, neither has been able to channel the one power. Nynaeve, who is notoriously obstinate, decides to drink unpleasant mop water rather than attempt to learn how to channel from Olenna. Liandrin persuades the Aes Sedai mentor to let her speak with Nynaeve, since Olenna is having trouble connecting with the youthful knowledge. The Aes Sedai require Nynaeve and her tremendous strength since a major conflict is imminent. Perrin is on a mission to recover the Horn of Valyr, which dark friend Padan Fain stole, along with a few other Faldera survivors including Uno and the Ogier Loyal. They discover a trail of bodies left by the Trollocs along the road. To Perrin's dismay, the dead were a band of tinkers, so the unfortunate beings didn't even make an effort to defend themselves. Lan is missing the magical connection it once had while Moiraine is negotiating the acquisition of an impenetrable heartstone. A poem in the ancient tongue, inscribed in blood, was discovered on the stone that Moiraine is attempting to purchase. Moiraine agrees to a lower price to the poetry and permits the man to take the stone back because she had only been interested in the poem. The seaman admits that Fades has been following him before he departs. Nynaeve tries to focus on channeling after receiving encouragement from Olenna's 2 warders, but Liandrin angrily interrupts her and her very unconventional training techniques. Lan confronts Moiraine after growing weary of hearing her excuses, and things turn out as you might anticipate. He does, however, for once put his foot down and declines to prepare or serve her dinner, but his resolve wanes quickly. In a heartwarming scenario, Nynaeve and Egwene read a letter from Perrin. Liandrin, who is imprisoning poor Mat in the White Tower and attempting to undermine what little self-assurance he may have, is also reading the letter. Rand, who is still alive and hidden, is briefly visible. But for the time being, no one knows where he is. Poor Lan mounts her horse and tries to escape, all hoping to make amends with Moiraine by giving her dinner. She doesn't travel very far until she encounters a Fade who had followed the seaman right to where she was. After killing one of the terrible things, Moiraine is hurt by another. Fortunately, Lan intervenes just in time to shield her while also suffering serious injuries. Perrin and Adelias, who are both channelers, save the 2 just in time when all appears bleak. An injured Lan demands fiercely to know what Moiraine is hiding as the episode comes to a close. The location of Rand's recent hiding place is revealed in the 2nd episode. While Nynaeve must make a significant choice, Moiraine destroys her relationship with Lan. In Strangers of Friends, we find out where Rand has been hiding since he pretended to be dead. The dragon resides at the Foregate, a town in Cairhien, and works at the sanatorium there, and spends his nights with Selene, his lovely landlady. Rand is plagued by nightmares and visions of the Dark One ordering him to slaughter his comrades, though he has not yet completely succumbed to the madness that befalls individuals who can channel. Perrin and Adelias made the decision to proceed to the White Tower with Moiraine and Lan, despite the Aes Sedai's continued exile following the events of the previous night. Naturally, Maureen's relationship with her warder is just as mysterious and distant as it has been since she lost her abilities. The gang visits an old farmhouse where something dreadful transpires as a result of Perrin's attempt to find the dangerous Pat Fane in the Horn of Valor. Once more turning yellow, Perrin notices how a Fade massacred the family just before he arrived. They are helping them track, and Elias, who has the same eye color as Perrin, tries to coach him in utilizing his new skills. But the young man continues to deny reality. The Fade who slaughtered the family is found as the gang begins to settle in for the night. The beast was killed by torture after being nailed to a fence. The group chooses to seek refuge in a nearby village after being shaken by the sight. Rand seemed to be having fun in his duty as carer for the elderly. He does more than merely look after the elderly and vulnerable, though. Rand pursues the man to a shadowy alley, confronts him, and uses enough of the one power to almost kill him after becoming enraged by another orderly for torturing an elderly patient. In an effort to persuade Nynaeve to train with her and become a Red Jaw, Liandrin amps up her charm. There is, however, the little issue of Liandrin not being able to instruct beginners. Nynaeve needs to pass a test to prove she is accepted, as to die before she will teach her anything. Matt hasn't been accepting his incarceration passively. Instead, he has been attempting to escape Shawshank Redemption style. Finally, one of the bricks in Matt's wall is broken. However, instead of finding a way out, he learns that his cell is linked to yet another cell. He encounters Min Farshaw, the seer, inside of it. Matt claims he has no interest in learning anything about Min's future while they are drinking wine. She continues to have the horrifying image of him killing Rand, his best friend. Elaine Trackend, the hair daughter of Ander, is the newest novice in the White Tower when Egwene first meets her. The two ladies quickly become friends. Perrin confronts Moiraine while on the road and confesses she is aware of the Dragon Reborn. Perrin is on Moraine's side and wants to do her bit to help the dragon ultimately vanquish the Dark One, but Moraine's initial reaction is to whip out her knife. Nynaeve strolls into the village behind Liandrin. She is shocked to find her son, a dying man, being cared for by the reputed man-hater. When a distraught Nynaeve arrives home, she inadvertently overhears Egwene talking about how jealous she is of her new companion. Before Liandrin arrives on her home and drags her to a basement where she must confront the Arches, she has little time to process her emotions. When Moiraine finally tells Lan the truth, their bond is broken. She and Rand were confronted by the Forsaken Ishamael, one of the Dark One's most potent henchmen, rather than the Dark One, at the center of the universe. The dragon's axe freed Ishamael, but failed to vanquish the Dark One. Moiraine asks Alanna to sever their tie and take Lan to the White Tower, despite Lan's refusal to leave her side. A Dark Friends army attacks the village Perrin was in. The people are imprisoned before daylight, and Ishamael himself rides in on a palanquin. He is not seated on the throne, but rather is supporting a lady in disguise. The orderly Rand attacked is tasked with caring for the patient in the garden because he won't be able to make it to work. Logan, the fake dragon from Season 1, is one of them. Nynaeve confronts the three Arches and receives far more than she anticipated. While Perrin is at the hands of the Dark Friends, Liandrin makes a surprising move against Moiraine and uses Matt as a prop. Nynaeve is about to be put to the test by the three Arches when what might be opens. She will encounter a unique difficulty as she progresses through each one. When her parents were killed by burglars while she was hiding in the basement, Nynaeve's darkest childhood memory is brought back to her by the first Arch. Nynaeve picks up a weapon out of desperation to help, but instead of heading upstairs to assist them, she takes the portal, sending her back to the White Tower. Nynaeve is transported back to her beloved Two Rivers when she enters the second Arch. She finds herself thrust into the midst of an epidemic that has engulfed the village since she left, and Rand's father is one among the victims. Nynaeve is terrified by what she sees, but as the portal opens, she must go back. Nynaeve appears to emerge from the third Arch shrouded in debris and with no recollection of what transpired. The sisters give Nynaeve a fancy Aes Sedai ring and declare her accepted to the White Tower, but Nynaeve chooses to leave. Nynaeve rides away from the White Tower after bidding Egwene farewell in tears. Before long, she encounters Alan, who is no longer bound by a link. The couple decides to travel together to the Two Rivers. The portal back then appears. The previous few minutes were one aspect of the test, and Nynaeve lost her one opportunity to return to reality. Back at the White Tower, Liandrin tries to keep a cool head and dismiss Nynaeve's death. The High Lady Suroth is the woman riding in the palanquin Perrin and his men discover. She commands everyone in the community to kneel before her. Uno, A brave man politely declines. By nicely, I mean that he spits on the palanquin and pays with his life. The remainder of the town, including Perrin, who hesitates, bows and takes the oath. Logain is already aware of Rand's channeling abilities at the sanatorium. Logain requests a particular bottle of wine when Rand approaches the false dragon for advice on how to handle his abilities. In an effort to locate the wine, Selene and Rand crash an elite dinner party together. While there, the mysterious Lady Nynaeve teaches the dragon a lesson in politics and ruthlessness. Disgusted, Rand brings the bottle of wine to Logain, who informs him of what he already knows. He is powerless. It will eventually spill out of him. Egwene is beyond devastated when she finds out about Nynaeve's passing inside the Third Arch. Liandrin, distraught by her loss, lashes out at poor Mat before letting him go. Mat feels discouraged after hearing Liandrin's critical remarks and opts not to contact Egwene. Instead, he releases Min, and they leave via the door. It becomes clear right away that Lyn is collaborating with Liandrin. Whatever Liandrin has in store for Mat and Min, it's an attack on Moiraine. On their trip to a work camp operated by the High Lady Suroth, Perrin, and the other peasants. Ishmael, however, feels there is something unique about him and rides over to see him. Before the two can finish talking, a troop of wolves headed by Elias attack the carriages and liberate Perrin. Rand returns to the inn and has hot and heavy relations with Selene while still in shock at his discouraging conversation with Logain. After that, when he finally wakes up, he realizes it was all a dream. He channeled while dozing off and unintentionally lit the inn on fire. Egwene, who is weeping, is unable to comprehend that Nynaeve is actually missing in the arches. Inside the Third Arch, Nynaeve is very much alive and well. After a few years, she and Lan had a lovely daughter, and her two closest friends, Perrin and Mat, frequently stop by. Of course, a Trolloc attack rudely interrupts her tiny oasis of domesticity. Even Lan and Mat lose their lives fending off the trolls. A second portal back is unlocked by a grieving Nynaeve, who accomplishes the heretofore unthinkable feat of channeling from inside the arch. She tries passing through while holding her daughter since she remembers that is the way back. Nynaeve, however, is distraught and by herself when she exits the arch.